Warning, the following video has flashing lights and also includes content that may be deemed inappropriate for some viewers. Viewer discretion is advised. Ernie Davieau. It's been a minute, but you finally have decided to awaken me from my slumber once again so that you and I can team up and go, what? Baboon Dogman hunting? Yes, this is going to be an epic one. Ooh, yes, so delicious. I have been very under the weather as I have slept in my cold coffin. But now that Mr. Davieau has released my shackles, it is once again time to take a walk into the darkness.
Stood up. I said, oh my god, it's a werewolf, and everybody in the car freaked out.
My creatures of the night. Again, Ernie Davieau, the Squatch Whisperer, has decided to make his way into the fox den and set up the late night fire so that the Midnight Society can again burn the timber into the early hours of the morning and figure out what is going on with devil monkeys, baboon dogmen, gugway. Are they really all one and the same? Guess you're going to have to sit here with Ernie and myself to try to figure it out. Mr. Davieau, how the heck are you doing, man?
Yeah, I'm doing pretty good tonight there, Kenny. I'm fortunate that I was able to hook up with you tonight. So I can't wait to hear what you have and what's going on. Get my weekly dose of burning some embers here.
Excellent. I do appreciate that. And yeah, you're a busy guy. You actually just got off another podcast. And to the audience, don't be upset because I know people like to have all the guests and hosts links up in the description of the video. Well, guess what? Mr. Davieau, he doesn't roll like that. He doesn't even have a podcast. His Etsy link will be up there where you can check out what's going on over there. But if you want to hear the Squatch Whisperer speak, well, you got to tune in either over here or wherever else. He's popping up. What have you been up to lately, man?
Oh, just been doing a lot of working and waiting for all this snow to melt down and talking to a lot of people about a thing that I'm going to in June of actually this year right here, the Cabo Mountain Critter Festival. It's actually 2 miles from where I had my encounter, and that's called the Camp Moses Scout Reservation. So that's going to be really, really awesome. There's the first one that they've ever had located out on the East Coast. So they want to put this on the map, and I think it's the right way to do it. So I'm a little bit involved with that. I'll be a speaker there and keeping myself busy on talking to those guys and the researchers out in that area.
Ooh, some big boy stuff right there. That's good to hear, Mr. Davieau. So everyone, make sure you are checking that out. Have you been diving into any Dogman research lately, or potential encounters or activity or anything?
No, we've been really, really busy at work here. I haven't had much time for that. I have been seeing from a lot of the forums. I see a lot of people joining your group now too, which is really good. You guys are doing some great research. You got a great team behind you also. And so they're posting some more pictures there, and it's looking pretty good. I'm not seeing so many red circles anyway, so that's that's a good sign right there. So that's about it on that.
Excellent. Yeah, no, I appreciate you being, I believe I have you as an admin or a moderator. I can't remember
Yes.
which one. I don't know what the heck the dang difference is, but as long as you're able to keep
Yeah.
up on my page for me, because to the audience out there, actually Nuxium, Brother Nature, got upset with me until I explained to him, yeah, you have my number. Text me that. I don't really get into the Facebook group that much. I don't have time to, which
Right.
is why I have my admins and mods that are on there more actively than I am. I honestly check my main Dogman group page maybe once a week, unless somebody like yourself or somebody else tells me, hey, check out this post. Because guess what? Anyone that needs to get a hold of me would just text me that, correct?
Yeah, you are amazingly busy. We just talked about that in the green room here, is people don't understand how much work goes into actually establishing one of these podcasts, and it's like a starving artist, and that's what you are. Definitely an artist, and you definitely give this your all. So you're in this for all the people that are in your group, and the people that are listening out there. You're devoted to bringing them this information, this news, all these things, which is fantastic.
Very much appreciate you. That's what you got to do to achieve greatness is put your nose to the grind and hustle, right? But it's ironic you said that because that is such a true statement. Starving artist, because a lot of people don't realize Van Gogh and all these other amazing artists per se, they had nothing when they existed, which is terrible. But as soon as they no longer existed and you go into the future, their stuff is just priceless. But most likely their family never saw a cent of that, and we definitely know Van Gogh didn't.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I think he had to sell an ear, didn't he?
Yes. Isn't that messed up? I mean, I know
Yeah,
it's like,
a little bit.
what the Christmas trees, dude? But yeah. Well, tonight, though, to you and the audience, we got some really great stuff. Lately, we've been on a roll with why we believe that baboons and primates and hyenas are actually more involved in the term dog man per se than wolves. What I pretty much have come to the conclusion of that I can prove with wolves, okay? Real quick, because I've touched on this numerous times, but just to speed you up to date and anybody else out in the audience that hasn't had a second to pay attention to some of the other stuff we've been working on, picture a giant jet black wolf from Canada. You can see those. There's also a video of, yes, a bozo up in Saskatchewan walking his dog, where he just allows his dog to try to go up and frolic, is what I want to say, with this giant jet midnight black wolf. And you don't even see the wolf the first time. Now that I've seen the video a gazillion times, I can automatically point my eyes on the screen where I know it's going to happen. And when you really pay attention, you do see the ears kind of just poking up, but it's laid completely flat to the ground, which is what I would say cloaking is. I don't think a dog man goes into predator mode and just glitches out and disappears. But I do know large predators like this wolf, cats, and others push themselves almost completely flat to the ground, meaning you can barely see them. It's something my squirrel does when she's suntanning, more or less, just spreads all out and you just can kind of see her head a little bit, but she's completely flat, and it obviously compresses their whole entire existence at this point in time. Well, now picture this jet black, huge wolf, which look it up on Google to anybody, just a Canadian wolf. Get yourself a little bit more scared and type in jet black and you can see them. They're real. Well, wolves will stand up on their hind legs a lot of times to look over foliage and also brush down upon their prey, such as elk or fawns, whatever they're trying to go after. But they don't sit there consistently and run on their two legs, but they're standing up like that. If you and I were out in the forest and we happen to look over, see this giant wolf standing on two legs, well, its front arms would be kind of, or paws, would be hanging down, so you wouldn't really see the actual animal paw. You'd only see a portion of it and think it's arms, and you'd see a giant wolf head because it is a giant wolf looking at you, and immediately you would have to be like, oh wow, it's a bipedal wolf. But it actually is a bipedal wolf for a couple seconds. But any canine in general, when they get treats or something, can walk up on two legs. And there's been a case actually where I don't know if the dog lost her front two legs, but either way, she just had back legs and could walk upright on them. Okay, that's really where I think the actual canine depiction ends. I think now when we start talking about the devil monkeys and the devil baboons, right? You hear about the quadrupedal, bipedal motions all the time. Well, that's how baboons run, okay? And you hear about the glowing eyes. Well, the yellow baboon does have glowing eyes, but even baboons in general, their eyes look like they're glowing even without a reflection during the day because it's such an immaculate, sometimes orange or yellow, and they're not nice either. Okay, their back feet look just like ours, kind of with claws, which would explain the tracks. Like I say to people, that would have to kind of look like our feet with the claws to be bipedal and quadrupedal. They have long, lanky arms. They have hands that look like raccoon and slash squirrelish. They have massive canines. They have pointy ears and extremely large manes. They are seen up in trees all the time. Okay, all those behaviors I just named off, is that not a ton of the descriptions of quote unquote the dog man?
Yeah, absolutely. And I can understand that. I mean, even with the glowing eyes, you take a look at the, I'm probably going to mispronounce it, but the Weimaraner, the dog, the it's known for its eyes changing color. Never mind being one color. And then you take a look at something like a Great Dane. I'm roughly 6'3". A Great Dane can actually stand up and put its paws on my shoulders, and it will be much taller than me. These wolves are equal to that. So you get something that's going to stand up, even leaning against a bush or whatever, and take a peek over the top, because wolves are very smart, very smart. And to take a peek at you and you catch it at the same time, you're looking at something that's going to look like, you know, it's well over your height. So you're probably take it and put it in the range of like being like 6.5 to 7 feet tall. And guess what? A lot of these encounters are coming back just as that 6.5, 7 feet tall. Some are saying 8 feet tall, but then again, anybody that knows Kenny and myself, we're always going to revert back and just say, well, how far away was it? How did you come up with that assumption that it was so tall? We want to know, would you measure it up against? Otherwise we're going to still be stuck at the 6, 7 foot mark, which is huge. 7 foot is huge, back on two legs. And the footprints, I've been seeing a lot of these in the forums that people are posting too, and some of them happen to be double track with a bear, where they'll walk in their own print. These animals are very, very smart. And like you're saying, Kenny, you're are alluding to is, I mean, again, we got to go back and we got to look at, um, these baboons and things like that, being able to get up into trees, and the size of those baboons. But again, I have seen those videos on where somebody said several times, it went around, it made its rounds for a couple of months there, that this, I think, was actually a black wolf, Canadian wolf. And they were trying to say that it was a Dogman. So, it's probably one of the reasons why it appears to disappear so quickly, because it was standing up, taking a peek at
Mm-hmm.
you, and then it dropped down to all fours and took off. And they're going to go pretty darn fast. They're going to go a lot faster than you can assume that they're going to go. So to you, it's going to look like it disappeared. So I just need, and Kenny knows me, I just need, I'm skeptical. I'm not going to say there isn't any, because after what happened to me, um, yeah, definitely. But I'd still be skeptical of a forest person or a Sabe, whatever you want to call him, a Bigfoot. If somebody said, do you think that's one on the other side of the fence over there? Well, I got to go over there and take a look. I'm not going to make an assumption that that's what it is over there. I need more information, and I'm going to go over there and take a look. So we're healthy skeptical on some things. I think that's a good thing to be like that way.
Great
What
stuff
about
right
you?
there. Sure, man. I mean, you hit it right on the head. I have some more really gnarly stuff to add to everything that you just said, and also I have spoken about. And then I have some encounters of these creatures in your neck of the woods. We still got
Oh
some
wow.
things to get you pretty churning. But one thing I would like to touch base on real quick is a lot of people say they have seen blood splatter or per se blood. All right, this is just my experience. I am not a hunter, so I've never been, I guess, around animal blood, but as far as I know, blood is blood. Okay. When I was helping my mom out, one time, unfortunately, rest in peace, mom, this wasn't the reason she isn't with us anymore. She just, yeah, I covered that actually on one of my podcasts, but it's not what we're here for. Either way, she had fallen out of bed and split her head open, right? I have never, first off, seen so much blood in my life. The over sense of iron that was just such a massive aroma made me feel dizzy. And then when the blood was like all on like my hands and things and all over me from like trying to make sure her head and like keeping her up, it was so sticky and warm and such, and I felt like I could never wash it off me. All right. The reason I'm saying that is that's really my only experience with a massive amount of blood. But in these instances, per se, when something is supposedly being shot by them, all right, well, my mom was a pretty small woman. Granted, it was a head wound, and head wounds do bleed a lot, but blood is thick as heck. How could you not see that, I guess? And also, how could you not take a sample of that? Am I missing something?
Well, I can tell you from my own personal experience, I've been with other guys out deer hunting, and fall time happens to be one of the, it sounds like it would be easier because you can see further. A lot of the leaves are off the trees, but you can shoot, if you shoot a deer and they start bleeding, and first of all, you have to determine where you really did shoot them compared to where you thought you shot them, because you can tell from seeing bubbles in the blood or whatever. But ironically, as they run, they actually knock leaves over their own trail. And you might not even notice it. So
Uh,
you have to be looking for the blood on the bushes, like maybe 2 feet, a foot or so off the ground, to pick up those trails like that. So yeah, you would, like I said, it all depends on where uh, um, the injury is. Like you get a paper cut, it bleeds like heck, but it's just a tiny little paper cut because of where you were cut. It's a thin area, thin skinned area, so you're going to have a little bit more blood there at first. You know, I work in that field, so you can understand that. It took me quite a while to actually get used to the smell of the blood, and then working in it, because we used to work in it barehanded, so you had to develop a grip of steel to hang on to your knife. You didn't want your hand to slide down your knife and grab your blade.
Brutal. Since you've worked with beef, assumptions aren't good, but I mean, from the description I gave you with how I felt with like a human's blood from like my mom and stuff, I mean, is that pretty similar? I guess when the meat's coming in, it's not
Yeah,
fully warm like that, but it's just like, ugh, yeah.
yeah. I mean, considering the fact that nowadays um the meat that comes into for the butchers now is like a primal. It's in a bag. It's in a Crayvac bag. So you might get a, let's say, a top round,
Hmm.
okay, or an inside. It's called an inside round. Might be weigh about 15, 16 pounds, and then we call it purge. So you might be able to see in the bag because it's sealed. It's vacuum sealed, but you still see a little bit of blood in the bag. Well, if you take that bag and open that up and you let that piece of meat drain that blood out of the bag and then put that piece of meat on the table, give it about 10 minutes. You'd be surprised how much blood is actually in that piece of meat. Still,
Hmm.
that will get blood on your table. So, a human being, I mean, uh, yeah, there's going to be a lot of blood, and particularly in like head wounds, things like that. It's pretty amazing. I mean, I've gotten my, well, probably the worst one I've ever got was my finger in the bandsaw.
Wow,
Took a good chunk. Yeah, took a good chunk out of it. But the
brutal.
thing was that I was quite surprised at how much blood that there actually was because I had taken my apron off and wrapped it around my finger and my other finger. So now it looked like basically like I was wearing a boxing glove. So 10 minutes, 15 minutes later, by the time I got to the urgent care, that was soaked, with blood. So yeah,
Yep.
we have a lot of blood, and you can bleed out. People, depending on where your injury is, you can bleed out really quick. And the same thing
Hmm.
with animals. They will travel, for a lot further than what you thought that they're going to travel. If it's an animal, a lot of people might be aiming for the heart. If you're an archer, and you're probably going to aim for the heart, but some archers actually aim for the lungs. You're not going to go too far after you get the wind knocked out of you, and you're going to bleed like crazy. So you're gonna drop pretty quick. I've seen deer go well over 100 yards after being shot with a 12 gauge slug right clean through the heart. They keep right on trucking, and I think that's all adrenaline. They don't even know that they're going to be expired, or they're running expired. All that adrenaline in them.
See, you just hit it on the head again before I start blowing your mind with this next stuff is I just recently covered an episode where one of my hosts, Mr. Barber, and myself were just diving into some Michigan encounters, and we were just going back and forth asking some questions about the potential Joe Barber Manistee
Hmm.
National Forest encounter. Well,
Yeah.
again, head wounds, blood. Where would be all the blood supposedly too if he shot that thing? Well, wouldn't it be all on the side of his window in his truck if he blew its face off? Again, nothing. Interesting.
Well, that is pretty interesting. I mean, depending on how far it actually was in the window, and considering, the size of its head and everything, there's a lot of mass there. There's a lot of bone there. So you're looking at the foot-pounds of energy from the round, and then you've got to understand the barrel length is going to come into play there too, because like a 22, we'll take it just a simple little basic 22. Let's say it says on the box that thing will travel 1,300 feet, okay, per second. Okay, that's out of a 19-inch barrel rifle. Now you shoot that out of a 3-inch barrel or a 4-inch barrel, you're going to be lucky if it's over 800 feet per second. So now let's take that 45 ACP. Let's throw that into a Derringer, okay, or a Judge. I think he might have had a Judge that day, and that's a small barrel gun. So that's energy is going to be dumped out very quickly. That's for close range. So if that energy was going to impact at roughly 800 foot-pounds of energy at that range, that's hitting something right in the noggin with 800 pounds of force. So it could have just knocked him right out of the cab of that truck. Would you get blood splatter on you? There should be. I mean, you know, I'm not gonna say I'm a professional, but
If you unalive something with a headshot, yes, there's got to be blood
yeah,
because if it's just
that's right.
unalive,
And if it's right, and if you're close up to them, you're gonna get blood splatter
yes,
on you. It's gonna be
1,000.
inside your vehicle. Hmm.
That's all I'm saying. Yeah. So interesting stuff
Gotcha.
right there. And that's why I just had asked you as well, blood, because I'm just trying to really figure out some of the, times like that,
Gotcha.
how potentially you should be able to collect some sort of body fluid or something that was released. Because if you unalive something, I mean, I'm telling you right now, if a bear was leaning in your car and you unalived it, you blew its face off, you're gonna get some bear DNA. I mean, are you not?
Yeah. Well, he shot it in the eyeball too. So that's a very soft tissue area. So that entered right into the brain. So that means to me that it would tell me that there should be something
Yeah,
there,
you would
you
think, but
know, you
interesting
know.
stuff. Well,
Yeah.
I got some more interesting stuff for you right here.
But he,
We do know baboons and other primates have escaped, also potentially have been released by people that can no longer take care of them out into the wild. All right.
Ooh,
Well, baboons in their natural habitat, as well as other primates, are on all fours. Why? Because they're climbing trees a ton and using trees to get food. Now, here in North America, the tree setup is completely different. So they would be able to use the first couple branches high enough, per se, to just look down at us and such, but they wouldn't be able to get up the whole entire tree consistently without damaging themselves because of all the branches everywhere. They would be stabbing themselves because if you look at trees in tropical environments that they use, they're a lot different than trees here in North America. Also, there's no fruits or food sources that they naturally would be eating up in these trees. They now really have no need for these trees anymore, except for the first, potential couple aspects where they can ambush something, just like a mountain lion per se. But what are they going to have to do now? Well, to be able to see over grass and such and watch out for predators, they're going to start standing up on their back legs more consistently, which if you look, there are cases of baboons and chimpanzees in certain environments that decided because they were around people for so long that they wanted to start walking like that, and they consistently started walking upright. If you take away their natural food source of, being up in the trees, needing to gather that, and now they have to change their food source and be on the ground more, look out for new predators because they can't use the trees like they were using before to be high up, they're going to, like I said, start standing up more to look over grass. And except now, instead of the wolf, baboons can actually confidently and consistently walk upright. And now they're going to start looking for small rodents, potentially meat sources, could be people's pets, could be people's farm animals, small beavers, anything along the line, even deer, because I mean, baboons are pretty large and they take out gazelle in Africa, which is probably around the same size of a younger deer here. And they also travel in packs. All right, boom, right there. Interesting stuff. I have a couple more things to add to that as well too. If you look at now potential not healthy reproduction aspects because they don't have a healthy system to reproduce, well, that would also start to be the end of your bloodline, but would also cause deformalities, meaning a scary looking baboon now could look like it potentially was all patchy and things and have less digits or more digits and a really messed up looking face and be super ticked off and such and overly aggressive, or even think a devil monkey, a Dogman baboon, or a Gugwe with rabies. Imagine how terrifying that would be.
yeah. I mean, all of it that you're putting together here. I mean, we're talking about evolution here, which is, if people want to put it into perspective, I mean, let's face it, it wasn't working for us by running around on all fours because we were below the grass line, and
Mhm.
saber-toothed tigers and things like that could see us and ambush us because we couldn't see them. They blended in so well. So we decided we're going to be able to maybe put a lookout in the tree while we're all down gathering nuts at the bottom of the tree. Monkeys do that to this day. And they're actually smart about it. I won't get into the whole explanation on that, on how they actually can trick each other, but you know,
So smart.
you got a great point there. There isn't anything in the trees for them to even be taken out of the trees. So why would they want to be doing that? So just evolution alone is going to bring them into walk on all fours and then
Mhm.
being in packs, just like the wolf, probably the smartest predator supposedly we have out there right now. Okay, that we know of for sure. And then we got baboons that are going to do likewise. You're just not going to get close to a whole bunch of baboons, unless they want you to get in there for their own nefarious reasons, because they're all watching out for each other. They operate as a
Mhm.
group. Now, like you're saying, if they can't even, if they're procreating and they're not getting out too far to procreate, then yeah, you're going to have all kinds of things going on there,
Mhm.
all kinds of abnormalities, just like we do here. I think it's called Knight syndrome. You know, uh, Pretty sure it is, anyways. And it was actually there's a whole article on it about it. The results of it happening in the state of New Hampshire, in a particular area in New Hampshire, where the residents never even seen anybody for almost 100 years outside their own town. And as a result, you'd never know it from looking at anybody. And, I'm not pointing fingers, but the results were all physical that happened to them. Their mobility was, I don't want to say devastated, but it was affected pretty profoundly, by this interbreeding thing that was going on, and it can affect people in in some pretty strange ways. Like if you start going into some places up into the mountains of Appalachia and stuff, you see the same thing going on. That could obviously be going on here too. Just right, and we talk about this in the research field of Sasquatch on what could be going on, because one individual, Michigan Rob there, his drawing that was done by Sibylla Irwin, he believed, and I've heard this from other people too, that basically describing the same thing. He believed that this thing had some mental issues. Okay, and from what he describes and what his the artwork depicts is definitely something it looks like a Bigfoot that's a little bit disturbed, we'll say.
Gnarly stuff right there, man. You hit it all on the head. If you think of how terrifying baboons and primates are, they aren't
Yeah,
nice. All right. Meaning you can befriend many other animals, but I don't know. I've seen some primate behaviorisms, and sure, it's not something that we're going to fully dive into here, but chimpanzees that just turn on their owners. Primates are
horrendous.
evil little bastards, man,
Yeah,
sometimes.
yeah. If I'm going to be attacked by anything, I'd rather have it be a squirrel or maybe a rabbit. You know,
Yeah.
something I could just grab a hold and just throw it away or something.
Not have
You
your
start
face.
getting into
Huh?
like things like us, like like more muscle strength than what we have. um yeah, we're in deep trouble. People don't understand, like, you going back on these wolves that you were talking about from the beginning of the show here. You're looking at a 150-pound dog, 170-pound dog, a wolf. I mean, how many people out there actually weigh that? And a lot of guys, they want to think that they can pick up 200 pounds. No, you can't, unless you've been going to the gym. I will guarantee you, you can't run over and grab 200. You couldn't grab another person off the ground and pick them up and put them
No.
over your shoulder. And these dogs, they can grab a hold of you and start carrying you around. Tear you right up. In a chimpanzee, yeah, you're just a rag doll to them. They have basically 4 arms. Everybody says they got 2 legs and 2 arms. I got news for you. That foot that they have can grab a hold of you.
Yep. That just all continues to keep pointing towards these baboon, devil monkeys, and gugwe
Mm.
being either modern day baboons, a adaptation from stress or other ways, or potentially some sort of prehistoric remnant like the Dinopithecus. But here's something else for you before we start to end it with encounters from Ohio. That should give you a little bit of nightmare fuel. But back
Oh
in
yeah, you like to do this, don't you?
2006, Jody Cook in Ohio, yes, the founder of the North American Dogman Project, found a very large baboon skull, all right, with a bullet hole in the back of the head. Like he says, was it somebody's pet? Potentially. Was it something that escaped? Potentially. Was it something that is actively established? Potentially. The bullet hole, could it have been done by somebody that could no longer take care of it? Could it have been done by a hunter who was like, what the heck is that? Don't know. Not sure we can ever figure this out. But we do know in 2006, in Jody's hands, is a baboon skull. Where the heck did that come from?
Yeah, that's pretty interesting because a lot of people do abandon their pets and everything. It sounds to me like he took poor little Pepito out for a walk in the woods and let him have it. That's what it just sounds like to me. Because for me, if a hunter would have gotten something like that, they definitely would have reported that to a warden or somebody. Would have been all over the place, unless it was somebody. Because let's face it, if you got something like a baboon or something like that, you have to have permits for that. So if you don't, that's illegal. So you're not going to report to anybody, and this thing obviously got a little bit too big for whoever it was. That's what it sounds like. Sounds like it got too big for somebody, and hopefully it didn't get to breed with anything else that's out there, because monkeys are notorious for doing things like that to begin with. Never mind baboons. And if this is a baboon skull, yeah, I'd be a little bit worried if maybe more than one didn't get away and he didn't have a whole bunch of exotic animals that might be running around out there. No, no. So just my thoughts on it. Sounds like somebody just took poor little Pepito out into the woods and said, "Come on, we're gonna have a picnic."
Yeah,
Unfortunately.
pretty messed up. And if
Hmm.
you that's messed up, well, here we go with some more stuff to, well, probably keep you up a little bit later tonight than you'd prefer. We have summer 1978, Lehman, Ohio. Locals begin seeing a baboon slash gorilla like creature with long, lanky arms. Winter 1978 to 1982, Marietta. Footprints are discovered that are anywhere from 17 to 20 inches long. They have been reported to belong to something that looks like a strange baboon canine like creature that is dark, smelly, and seemingly will chase people. September 1994, Nelsonville. People begin to see this huge baboon, canine like creature the size of a bear that can easily walk on 2 legs, but runs on all fours and sounds like a screaming monkey. May 1998, Hoadley. People begin to see and hear trees shaking at night. Seemingly, these shakings were caused by creatures with bright eyes the size of golf balls that were either red, amber, or yellow, and they belonged to what seemed to be some sort of strange canine like baboon, and they let out a variety of strange sounds and putrid odors. July 11th, 1998, Logan. People begin to see creatures with a snout A long neck, dark eyes, caramel blonde colored hair, seemingly to look like some sort of baboon primate. It was tall, stocky, and had light colored skin underneath the fur. September 1998. Howdly, people begin hearing something seemingly that is following them within the forest, sometimes in the trees and often on the ground. And it seems to be a tall, primate, canine looking creature with blonde, brown hair. And the final one is June 17th, 2017, West Union. Creatures rummaging through personal items, stomping sounds that felt like it came from something very strong, heavy, and also bipedal, begin making people feel very uneasy in a local community, as at nighttime and throughout the day they hear strange howls, what sounds to be movement, children's laughing and talking, limbs from trees breaking and smashing, loud screams, and high pitched howls. What do you think about that, Ernie?
Well, that last one there, I know where Union is. That's not too far from here. And that last one sounds, yeah, thanks. And but that last one sounds more like something that the forest people, the Bigfoot people do. Because I'm not getting the um anybody talking about a dog man or anything like that talking just yet. You might have heard something on that too, something maybe that I haven't heard on that, but it's predominantly leans, the last one particularly leans towards a Sasquatch. With all those sounds, they tell you that, and I've told people they can whistle like you. There's a lot of sounds that they can do. Them other ones, I'm curious because those happen to right around about all the same time, man.
Mm-hmm.
You're skeptical like me, and your research, the people that work with you, you've got a great research team. Is I'd be looking for any circuses that were traveling through
Yep.
the area around the time there, and maybe derailed or something happened there. Because that's an awful lot of sightings for pretty much the same description at around the same time, because I figured if one of them might have escaped, then perhaps it lived for a while before it ran out of food or whatever. It could even be following people because it was used to getting handouts from people in the
Mm-hmm.
circus. Just saying, just throwing that out there. But that last one there, yeah, hearing what sounded like children laughing and stuff. I've never heard any.
Creepy.
Yeah, I've never heard of any encounters with a dog man where anything of that sort was going on. So that last one seems to be separate from the first group of ones there, which, again, and you've heard me say it before when you've terrified me with these dog man encounters, and I need to make sure that I've got protection on me when I go in the woods. For that
Yeah.
reason right there, because the Sasquatch, I'm not afraid of that at all. But that
And I
there,
can
the
always
dog
give you
man,
a pair of fangs like I have. It only hurts
yeah,
for a second.
yeah, just for a second, just like getting bit by a snake, I suppose. you know.
Exactly. That's so awesome. But ironically, like you said, with the train crashing, right? Well, we do know that in Werewolf Springs, there was that circus train that supposedly crashed and a bunch of wild animals got out. And also, correct me if I'm wrong, the gentleman that did the Tarzan series, all right, I got to give him kudos for actually not unaliving these animals and at least setting them free. But he should have brought them back to the continent he got them from. So I'm not giving him kudos,
Yeah,
but I heard after that series he let all those animals out in Florida.
he did. He did. He particularly bought the monkeys. Okay, and he released them, and to this day they are down there, and there are a lot of them, and they do throw rocks at you and stuff. down there because I lived down around there. I forget what even kind of monkey it was, but I mean, you look back in those days, they didn't realize that they need to take them back to where they actually came from. He
Mm-hmm.
just figured that, hey, there's plenty of stuff here, and actually, in all actuality, he was right. Because I got to tell you that I guess from what I've heard, there's hundreds and hundreds of them down there now in that little area. I forget the name of the area, but they'll throw rocks at you, rocks and sticks.
So creepy. That's just what I'm saying. There's definitely something going on in the primate realm slash hyena realm with per se the Dogman. Okay, because
Yeah.
the more we speak about this and everything that you and I have spoken about tonight is primate behavior. Okay, I encourage anyone to look at a lot of the Dogman reports, and the behaviorisms doesn't match up with canine. All right, I understand there's some people out there that
Yeah.
swear up and down they're seeing a bipedal canine. Again, if you're only seeing a glimpse of this for a couple seconds as you drive by, well, yeah, sure, maybe this wolf is standing up to look over this brush that you don't see towards somebody's pets or something, and it would look like it was then standing up and walking a little bit as you drive by, because that's like a 4-second encounter. I understand that, but until I'm able to see more of why evolution would play towards causing a canine to just fully stand upright, because I mean, with primates and things like we had spoken about, it's basically built into them to either have the option to or not. Okay, but when you look at canines, I mean, that last digit is pushed all the way up and almost useless, and evolution doesn't revert itself, meaning that digit isn't all of a sudden going to come back. Okay, it's most likely going to completely disappear as they breed more, etc. Well, everything we spoke about again, though, the tree climbing, the quadrupedal, the bipedal, the howls, the packs, the behaviorisms, the structures, the dens, all these things are, well, primate behavior as well. It's just super interesting.
Yeah. Well, here's one last thing for the people who are listening in tonight. Because you've heard us talk about this before, Paul Harvey, and in a moment the rest of the story. So instead of saying in a moment the rest of the story, let's just throw the what if in there. What if what's really going on is, and we're seeing a lot of things coming out in the news now. Okay, what if that for maybe let's say the past 100 years, somebody's been experimenting on animals and human beings? Is that a possibility? Is this something for people to think about when you get out there and you're walking around in the woods at night, or even in the afternoon, minding your own business, skipping away and whistling? you know,
Yeah, isn't that
Something
true?
to think about is, and have they been doing it for, let's say, 100 years? Because let's face it, world wars were going on at the time, and they definitely were experimenting on people back then. So who's to say? What if?
Yes, that is a very great observation. And to the audience, we do need to allow Mr. Davieau to go spend time with his wife and get into a hot tub for a nice little relaxation after, well, potentially a traumatic session for him. But Mr. Davieau will be back very soon. He is a bi-weekly host. You can check out his playlist, like I said. Make sure to go to his Etsy store, tune in to all his other activities, and just remember, even a vampire, a creature of the night, still needs to be wary of what goes bump in the night in the forest. So stay safe out there, and thanks for hanging out tonight, Ernie.
Yeah, you're more than welcome. I had a lot of fun tonight with you. So maybe you can get some rest tonight too. I know you're going to be working on this for a little while, but you need to get some rest there too, Kenny. You know.
my creatures of the night. I do adore every single one of you, and thank you for stopping in tonight and hanging out with us. If you do enjoy my content, please like, comment, subscribe, feed the algorithm, and I will catch you very soon.